questions. I think there's a few in queue. And here is one from a listener. This is a question for TaraTrack users. How has this application been used in effectiveness monitoring? And then there's a few questions for Sitka Tech, which I will follow up after maybe the answering that first one.
Steve, do you want to take that one?
Sure. So TerraTrack supports the one half of the effectiveness monitoring, which is tracking what implementations or what actions were completed at the site. So in order to determine the effectiveness, you need to keep track of how many plants did we put in the ground, what conditions were those plants, what was the type of plant that we put into the ground. So TerraTrack really is the solution for the first half of effectiveness monitoring. In terms of the second half of effectiveness monitoring, what were the outcomes? How did the ecosystem respond? We have a system called GeoOptics, and these two systems, TerraTrack and GeoOptics, those two systems support your overall effectiveness monitoring, with one side keeping track of your actions, the other side keeping track of the outcomes or the response, ecosystem response.
Thanks, Steve. And two other questions that came in, and this is maybe for you or Brian. What are the costs associated with TerraTrack? Is it a one-time purchase, a subscription?
Yeah, the costs are an initial setup fee. It's a software as a service, and there's a lot of configuration, as you may well have ascertained from looking through the demo, about how you want to organize your workflows. So Sitka works with you to map out your workflows and then configure TerraTrack, your own instance of TerraTrack, to support those workflows. So that's an initial upfront a cost, and that there's a range on that, depending on how much of TerraTrack you want to adopt and deploy. Nice thing is you can start in one module like Clean Water Services did 2 years ago, and built out the planting module. And then this spring, they're circling back and implementing tracking work efforts on projects, so managing contractors and that kind of thing. So there's some flexibility there. And then Sitka provides long-term support for TerraTrack, and so there's an application management fee, an annual fee for us managing the application here in our secure environment, keeping it running and healthy.
Nice. And it seems like with TerraTrack's been around for 5 years. Did I hear that correctly from the beginning of the webcast with
yes.
Metro? And so just so it's a tried and tested system, that's been used by multiple different parties, and so I think that's great. And then we have another question here, and I'm going to read it to you. It's how easily can TerraTrack be used with existing applications, such as created using MySQL or HTML5 or JavaScript?
So yeah, TerraTrack is built on top of those types of technologies, and we do envision creating more robust integrations to other applications. We've done a little bit of that with financial management data being sent back and forth between PeopleSoft through data extracts for Metro, and to Oracle Financials for Clean Water Services. That currently, however, is not automated. That's more a manual integration. So if you have your own system out there and you're curious about how it might integrate with TerraTrack, we are all ears about learning more about those use cases and helping folks out in designing how those integrations might work.
Great, and I'm sure that if any of the listeners today would like to learn more about TerraTrack specifically, then please reach out to Brian or Steve. contact information's here. Use case, Margaret's, more than happy to answer some questions as well, and her contact information as well. And finally, there is more information on our website at sitkatech.com/TeraTrack. There's a case study about how Metro rolled it out and the advantages that they've seen.